Okay, so continuing on with the presentation, the third factor we're going to talk about is price. For obvious reasons, price is an incredibly important factor to consider when choosing the universities you're going to attend. And you want to know the price and everything you're going to do up front. You want to know exactly what you're paying for, what scholarships you can get, because you don't want to be caught off guard by the price when you get into the school and you're like, oh my god, I can't pay that. Of course, you can always get scholarships, but it's good to know so you're not, again, caught off guard when you're in senior year, you're ending your senior year and going to university. But kind of piggybacking on that, the financial aid for school varies. So it shouldn't really scare you, as I mentioned before. That should not be a limiting factor as to why you didn't put that college on your list or why you didn't apply to that school. So as I said before, out-of-state schools or private schools typically have much more money to give. So that shouldn't, that upfront sticker price should not scare you whatsoever. Like, you never know how much fun you can get. You can be getting a full ride and you wouldn't even know because you didn't apply. So you always want to take advantage of that. And even if they don't give you 100% financial aid, you can take out student loans, but I would advise not to. I would advise to use it to fill small gaps and not like half of your tuition, because you don't want to fall into the student debt crisis that is a burden on our country right now, and you want to prevent all the stress from reaching your college experience. So take that into consideration. And here are some resources that I put that would help you in regards to scholarships, financial aid, FAFSA. The first one I want to highlight is another Somerset Brace cadet, Mariana Solis, who has a scholarship program where she uploads scholarships for high school students and so many opportunities, a lot of great resources where you can find scholarships and presentations that she's done in the past. So I put the Google Classroom code so you can join it because it's great, and you can also get volunteer hours through it by completing these scholarships. So it can't hurt. And another person I want to shout out is the amazing Scholarship Plug on Instagram. She has so many amazing resources, especially if you live in Broward County and um, you attend school there. She has resources from FAFSA, applying to FAFSA, getting scholarships. She posts like daily or weekly. Everything's organized perfectly, and she's just a great resource and easily accessible since it's on Instagram. You're always on Instagram. Might as well learn about scholarships while you're at it. And lastly, I put some scholarship websites that you can check out. Some of them, such as Niche, which is one of my favorite ones to use, has scholarships that are so easy to apply to. Niche has no essay scholarships that you can just apply to like monthly. And even though it doesn't give as much money as it would for one that require essays, because ones that require essays and more work obviously are gonna grant more money. It's still like a quick, if you don't have that much time and you still want to like give it a shot, it's a great resource. But if you're looking for the essay, like longer ones and more money, then there's a ton of different websites you can use. So the fourth factor that I want to talk about is the people. What I mean by people is kind of like the vibe of the school or like the school culture, because not many people know, but the school culture in schools can vary greatly. So what I mean by this, probably an example, the best example would be like athletics. So some schools might be more, I want to say patriotic, and like homecoming, athletics, like football, that might be like a really big deal for that school and heavily invested. So that's not really your thing, and you don't want to get involved in that, then you should probably know that before you apply to the school, because there's a lot of schools like that and people just go into it without knowing and they get caught off guard. Greek life is also another uh, factor that some people consider. For some people, it's really important to join sororities and fraternities. For some people, it isn't. It's not for everyone, but if you want to join one, you should look into it because different schools have different fraternities. And yeah, more on the academic side, if you want to join clubs, extracurriculars, if that's really important for you, you should look at the the list of clubs that the school offers. They typically have it on their website already. There's way more than you could think of. There is like literally a club for everything. So and that's also very important for, I would just know because I want to go into STEM, but STEM majors or a science club or a research club is going to be very important for people that want to go into specific subjects like that, because you need to get research when you're in college and you're in a four-year university. So for some people, it might be more important than others. And lastly, I want to talk about the competitiveness versus collaborativeness of the school. So colleges such as Harvard and those Ivy Leagues are more competitive than your local state school, mostly because just the academic rigor is very different. So the student-teacher ratio is going to be smaller in competitive schools because they're trying to focus on just like working together, working like one-on-one with each other, where like at a state school, you're probably going to be in a class filled with students. You're not going to be like given much attention to. It's going to be more collaborative. And like I said, the student-teacher ratio can show this. And kind of what I was saying before about the vibe of the school, this is kind of an example. The pictures are kind of low quality. I don't know why they came out like that. But to the left is the University of Florida on a game day, packed to the brim, because University of Florida, the Gators are very, very serious about their football. So if that's not for you, then I don't think you're gonna like that very much. But if you are interested in more of like a liberal arts school, a very small knit, closed school, you might want to consider the new college to the right. And these pictures also show how varied Florida, specifically as a state, is, because you have these like very patriotic, very big on homecoming schools, such as the University of Florida, and then you have those closer liberal arts schools. So yeah, you have a lot of options. And the last factor I want to talk about is the process. Not a lot of people think about this when they put on the college list. They're like, oh, all the processes are the same. But yeah, they are kind of follow the same pattern, but not all of them are exactly the same. So for example, some may use Common App, some may use Coalition. You have to see the letters of recommendation the school needs, the personal statements, the resume. You have to have all that in check and make sure that you have everything you need to apply, because you don't want to be ready to have your application and you realize, oh, I don't have it, and it's the last day to apply, and to miss your opportunity. So I just want to stress that you don't want to miss that because you missed deadline. So you want to be on time with those things. And another thing that has been really popular recently in universities and colleges is that they've gone test optional due to COVID, because they've taken it into consideration that not everyone can take the SAT or the ACT, because the schools have either canceled it or have not even offered it. So like, test taking can be questionable, and you want to be up to date with those things just in case your school needs it or not. So you want to check that out, because that is like recently like a new thing. So it's different from all the other years. That's very important. So some last minute tips that I want to talk about before we kind of finish this is, for you want to have at least 4 to 10 schools when you apply or when you make these college lists, because you don't want to be left with too little where you don't get into any, or too much where you like wasted all your money, because college applications all have application fees, or most of them have application fees. So you don't want to like waste your money when you just get into the schools you need to get to. And also, I want to say that you should have a purpose for putting every school on your list. Don't just put a school on your list just because everyone is applying to that school. No, because it's where you want to go, not where everyone else wants to go. And you should have done your prior research, because that school might be pointless to your application process. Like, you might not even like that school at all, and you just applied to it and you wasted your money. And again, do not put it off till last minute when you're making these decisions. You want to have these college lists done at least like the summer going into senior year. Kind of want to have it like ready, because once fall hits, you're going to start applying, and it's not going to be fun when like the deadlines are coming up and you don't even know where you want to go. So it's very important. So we have finished the presentation. I hope this information was useful when like thinking about those decisions. Feel free to use this PowerPoint whenever you need to, and all the resources. I will be linking this in my email distribution list. So if you haven't already and you want access to the resources and the links in this presentation, or just to have it like ready on hand, when you're making your college list, I strongly encourage you to fill out the Google form. It's in the description. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and do it.